Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Street Gospel Podcast. Before we get started, I wanted to let you know that this podcast is brought to you by Elevate Ministries. Elevate Ministries is an authentic, passionate, and innovative church in the heart of Orange County, California. They strive to make their services welcoming and encouraging by intentionally engaging you in all senses to stimulate a spiritual hunger. If you're looking for a great church that's on a mission to change the world one person at a time, I encourage you to check them out at www.elevateministries.com and on Instagram at Elevate Ministries. Secondly, this podcast is also brought to you by the good people at Hope and Promises. The director of Hope and Promises, my brother-in-law, Art Pena, started this nonprofit with a simple goal to provide food, water, and supplies to those in need through local outreaches and local food pantries. Internationally, Hope and Promises has completed humanitarian work in El Salvador, Mexico, and Honduras. Consider donating to Hope and Promises today by visiting their website at www.hopeandpromises.com and on Instagram at Hope and Promises. Let's do this.
Street gospel, light up the tempo. Sword swing, killer live from the ghetto. The hood messenger, let them know hell's close. Black burial, the devil in a black cloak.
Yo, what is up? Welcome to the Street Gospel Podcast. I'm your host, Dave One. And this is episode number... Yo, Cam, what episode is this? 44. Yo, we're just grinding along here. If you caught our last episode number 43, it was with the legendary DJ Icy Ice, famous beat junkie, 92.3 The Beat, DJs everywhere. So be sure to catch that episode. Got a lot of traction on that one, so we're hoping more people will check it out. If you can, follow us, subscribe to our channels on YouTube, subscribe to our channel on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you listen to your podcast, subscribe to it. And then you can also support the podcast on anchor.fm. So please subscribe. We'd appreciate that. But today I'm excited. We got a good one for you. Definitely I know I say everybody's family, friends, but this is really family today. So I'm very excited. So we're just gonna get into it, and you know I gotta play a little bit of music. So I thought, what could I play for this dude? You know, I could play just about any type of music, but I just played like a little bit of a West Coast banger. You know, I figured it kind of goes with the feel. You know, first off. I'll just put it out there right now. I don't really say this all the time, but this is my cousin. We're related. You know, I think I've had probably maybe one other blood relative on the show. Not blood relative. So he is been in construction forever. Likes to build stuff. Foreman, makes funny videos sometimes of his coworkers. He's definitely a great son. Definitely a dude that knows what's up, been around the streets, been around for a long time. He is a believer. We'll get into that. He does a little bit of martial arts, man. I know he fell off the wagon a little bit, he was telling me, but he does some martial arts, so I want to talk to him a little bit about that. But there's so much to talk about. I want everybody to give it up for my cousin, Champ. What's up, man?
What's up, dog? It's cracking.
Just right here, man. It's good to have you.
Yeah. Thank you for having me on, man. I appreciate that.
I mean, so this is the thing. I'll be honest with you. So I wanted to have you on the podcast for a long time already, right? So I was just like, I know you made some changes in your life. There was some hardship. We'll get into that. So I was letting some time pass, you know, and so I was trying to think, when was the right time, you know? And then I was thinking, would he be down to do the podcast? I mean, maybe it's not his thing, because I've asked people before. And I just tell them, like, straight up, I don't want to put no pressure on you or nothing like that, but would you be interested? And sometimes there's people that say, it's not really my thing, dog. Like, I'm not going to do it. So I was kind of like, I kept telling Melissa, like, I want to ask Champ, but not yet. I'm going to wait for a little while. Yeah. And then I'm going to let him get his foundation good, and then we'll get him on. So did I make a right call there?
Yeah, no, I was listening to a sermon that my my coworker, my vice president, had sent me. He's a believer as well, and it was about just say yes.
Oh, dang.
Just say yes. And it was like a week before you asked me. And like, if so many people in the Bible didn't just say yes and listen to the Lord, then who knows where the Bible will be today. So I just said.
So it's perfect.
Yes.
So it's perfect timing. I mean, because
Exactly.
you didn't really hesitate when I asked you. You were just like, yeah. And I was honestly surprised. I thought you would like ask me a few questions, like what it's about, how long, who's gonna watch it. And then, so
I'm nervous. I'm nervous for sure.
So I was a little bit worried about that, but I sent you. I mean, you checked out a couple episodes, and I think you got a little comfortable. There's a few people on there that you know that was on the podcast already, so that was good that you got a little footing there.
Yeah, I started listening to a couple. My buddy Los and
Yeah,
buddy Richard. And, yeah.
So those are Trino.
Yeah.
Those are some good ones, man.
Yeah.
Some people that we've both known pretty much all our whole life.
For sure.
So I mentioned that you're in construction. We're both in construction. I mean, you know, you like to clown me a little bit on the construction side, which is fine, man. So just for clarification out there, my cousin is a real builder. I'm just a safety guy, man. So we're both in construction, but you know, I stay clean on my side. He gets dirty.
Yeah, I stay clean now.
No, you stay clean now. That's what I'm gonna say. You're foreman now.
Yeah,
so
I was superintendent, general superintendent.
Excuse me.
Yeah,
The general
took a long
super.
time to get that position.
So electrical, right?
Yes.
You know what? The crazy thing about that is this. I love construction, and I tell people all the time, construction gives people that wouldn't fit it, like maybe like they're like outcasts in society, right? Or maybe you know they have a pass, but construction gives those people an opportunity to make a living, to be somebody, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you guys got some guys like that, right?
Yeah. Well, I was like that. Los is the one that got me the job, you know, and I smelled the metal burning in the wood, and I seen guys tattooed up, and I was like, I never graduated. This is where I belong.
Yeah.
And I never let it go. Actually, it was probably the best decision I've ever made outside of giving my life to God. But that was just like it. I've been doing it for 24 years now. I've been since 1998. So
man,
I don't even I'm just doing meetings and checking on dudes. I got like 6 projects, maintaining like 110 guys.
Man. So what did you do before construction?
Oh,
what were some of your jobs before construction?
I worked at Burlington Coat Factory.
Did you really work?
Yeah. Hey, you know what's funny is that it was like building, right? Where they were just starting it up, and for 2 weeks, the only thing I did was price tag women's bras. I'm serious. And like by the end of the 2 weeks, I knew every size. I know what the D meant. I know everything meant on the symbol. It was crazy.
Ladies, come over here.
Got you.
This looks about your size. Wow.
For like 2 weeks, and I was like, I'm the only guy doing this. Why did I get put on this job? Yeah. So, KB's Toy Store.
Really?
Yeah, I was a night stalker there. I had 3 jobs at one point. I was working at Burlington Coat Factory, Warehouse Music, and night stock at KB's Toy Store.
Right. So your dad, I would imagine Uncle Tone, my uncle, probably said, "Hey, boy, you got to work."
My dad, he drove us one time when I was about 6 years old to Skid Row and told me, 6 years old, if you keep acting the way you're acting, you're going to be on these streets, man. I went back to school saying, man, I want to be on the streets, a bum. I don't want to be a bum. Yeah, man, that was crazy. Everybody's like scared, talking about Skid. Nobody knew what Skid Row was, and people were lighting fires right there. It was crazy. We were all scared. My dad was telling me I was going to be a bum by the time I was 8. I was like, dang, man. So
hardcore.
Yeah, man, he pushed, but thank God he did what he did, because, I mean, I knew that I didn't want to be a bum. I wasn't going to be a bum, so.
Yeah, I love construction, man. There's a lot of dudes that come into construction, and, you can see, like, they come in and they think like, man, this is like the last chance for me. Yeah. Like, if I don't make this work. And I usually encourage those guys, like, man, this is good right here, dude. This is a trade. This is a career that you can be proud of. Trust me, you build something, you put something together, you can look back and say, I did that. Yeah. And there's not a lot of jobs out there that really say, look what I did. Or you can drive by and say, we built that. This is something good about that.
We're the only people that build ourselves out of a job. If we don't build the job to finish the job, then we don't have a job. So we constantly are ending our jobs. Everywhere we go, we have a deadline. We have to make that deadline. If we don't make that deadline, then we don't have a job. If we make the deadline, we don't have a job. So it's like we're the only one in the industry that build ourselves out of a job.
And I tell people, it is a good, a good start for a lot of people. It is good career for those that need to come back. It's a good. People. We need people in that trade.
Blue collars.
This is the blue collar. Yeah, this is what keeps America going. These type of jobs that are just like we build, we do the things. And I think the thing is about these jobs, I think people think that these jobs don't pay well.
Right.
You know what I mean? I have a dude at my company. I just seen him the other day, and young guy. The dude did I think went to prison when he was 17. Did 13 years. Got out of prison. Got hired with us, and dude, the guy's an excellent plumber. Yeah. I mean, he's been with us 2 or 3 years now. Dude busts it, shows up everywhere, shows up to every job site. He was blasted, his neck, everything. Yeah. Got his neighborhood taken off his neck, and I'm looking at him, and he's like, yeah, bro, this was every day I wake up, and I'm just like, yeah, I was waking up in a cell for 13 years. Now I'm waking up 4 o'clock in the morning, and I'm excited to come to work, and I'm just like, yeah, man, this is what this type of stuff does for you.
It's a change of the guard too. A lot of the kids now that are coming up, they don't have that worth ethic.
Yeah,
it's changing a lot. I notice it. Guys want to be entitled right away without having to put in work. I took 24 years to get me where I'm at today, and guys want to come in making $35 an hour, 2 years experience, and dude, I'm getting paid 30. No, you ain't. But stay at that company because they're paying you good. We're not paying you $30 for 2 hours.
Right.
So and. My dad taught me not to keep your hands in your pockets. Look at your foreman when he's talking to you. Move when they put you on something. Finish it. The guy's a little bit different now. It's starting to change. They don't have that push. There's not that much that push. I don't know. It's you could definitely see it out there in the field.
I think that a lot of things is the voice in our heads, right? My dad did that to me. Your dad did that to you. I do that to Cam. Where, hey man, get up.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of these kids, they don't have that voice. So when they do go to work and you're yelling at them to, hey man, let's go.
Yeah.
And they look at you like either they're butthurt or they try to get crazy.
I'm gonna sue you.
What's up? And it's because they don't hear that voice. And I never was really like that. I was like, oh, I better hurry up.
Yeah.
Because I had that voice of get moving, kid.
Yeah.
I think, there's a lot of young kids that do come through and don't make it, or this is not for me.
Yeah.
And I'm cool with that. It's not for you. Yeah. But, what else are you going to do?
Right.
You know what I mean? You're going to go to school, you're going to do something, because wherever you go, you're going to have to work.
Yeah.
Whatever if you want to be a lawyer, you're going to have to put in the book time. If you want to be anything, it's going to take time. And I think they think that it's easy.
Yeah.
But construction, it is a mind thing.
Heck yeah.
I mean, it takes smart people to build stuff. You look at plans, you got to figure out how this goes in here, and it's so technology advanced. I think people don't realize CAD drawings, looking at drawings,
Procore, Line Grid,
all that stuff. So I think the advancement in technology has been pretty insane, and that's why I think I'm like, why don't more kids get involved?
Yeah,
they're used to playing all these games and everything. They should be able to get CAD and just master it.
Yeah, we're finishing a 1,000-unit project in Culver City. I'll do a drop test on next Saturday with fire marshals and inspectors, and if I get that passed, then I finished a pretty big building in 3 years. It's pretty good for my company. So that put me on the map pretty much. So I'm pretty well, Anthony can handle some stuff. So I got more jobs now, and now I just got a bunch of headaches and guys wanting raises and wanting to sue me, and it's crazy. It's crazy.
I don't know, man, because you're always clowning dudes on the. I see you always making videos of these Spisos, dude. And they're hustling out there, and you're just capping on them.
They love me.
Half the time, they don't even know what you're saying. It looks like
I don't either. I don't know what they're saying. They don't know what I'm saying, but it gets across and they get it done. Yeah, they work hard, man. Those are good. Those are some hard-working gentlemen, man. They Salvadorans. They come out here. They work hard, dude. They're solid. I take any person outside of the country to work for me than anybody in this country to work for me, because the drive's different, their determination's different. It's a whole different
It's weird, huh?
Yeah, it's crazy. But that's where they were growing up. They didn't work. They didn't eat. Over here, you could be poor with 4 TVs. You know, it's crazy. It's a whole different mindset. So I'd rather take that all day than guys that are just not really thankful for where they live and where they come from.
Yeah, they come here and have a different mindset, like to keep grinding and keep pushing. You get entitlement, and it's like, well, I got some overtime yesterday, so I'm gonna call off tomorrow.
That's
and
it.
Like,
that's it right there.
I'm like, what? Yeah. Like, you got overtime. You should be You should be here today.
Yeah.
So you can make more money. And they're like, no, I'm good. And I'm like, wow. Like,
hey, Bozo, if you don't go over 40 hours, you're not getting the overtime. So you have to get your 40 to get your overtime. What are you doing, dude?
Like, no, that doesn't work that way. Yeah, it works that way. That's how it goes, dude. It's funny, man. But it's definitely a good trade. So I was making a little bit of fun. You got into some martial arts, which was crazy because I've been training for a while, and then I remember you hit me up a couple times interested, and then all of a sudden I hear Champs over here and
Raw.
So with Raw, getting trained by Raw, like I don't know, he's like I don't know how many degree black belt or whatever. Crazy, right?
Yeah.
So what were you training in?
It was Wing Chun Kung Fu, Western boxing, which is like Wing Chun Kung Fu mixed with Muhammad Ali footwork. Dope. So that's what Bruce Lee.
Right? Yeah.
And Kali, and a little bit of kickboxing. So I just went in. I was going through something in my life at the time, and I just needed to get my head corrected without running to God, at that time. So that's when I just said, I'll try this out. And I did it for like about 1.5 years, 2 years, and then kind of just shoulders started hurting me, and my hips started hurting me, my knees started hurting me. I was like, dang, this sucks. So I just I was thinking about getting back in it a little bit again. Started maybe doing some Muay Thai boxing or something like that.
I tell everybody, like, you to get involved in it. I was telling the kid today, he was like, I was thinking about at work, I was telling him, he was like, I was thinking about taking, some sort of martial art, maybe jiu-jitsu or some kickboxing. And I was like, yeah, do it. And I think his kid's in shape, but he was telling me, because I just feel like if I had to protect my wife or my daughter or something happened, like I want to make sure that I'm ready. And I go, that's a great component, man, because you're already in shape and everything, but to be able to protect yourself, to protect those who you love and know how, just have the know-how.
Yeah.
I think
that's what it is.
Right.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people think like you go to train so you can be, like badass, and I'm going to go and beat up everybody. Right.
No, not like that.
You learn to train, and I think it changed your mind because you got in a lot of fights throughout your life, right? Yeah. But did it change your mindset as far as fighting? Because we used to tell Cam, like, you learn to fight so you don't have to fight, right? So, and you're comfortable being like, all right, man, I'm going to walk away from this.
Yeah. I felt like I was a Calvary, so we could box, like seriously. My dad, Chapo, Robert, they all Louis.
I remember Grandpa boxing.
Yeah, they all had those hooks, So I had hooks until I picked the wrong fight with the wrong dude. He beat me down at Lucerno High School in the bathroom, and then I got up, shook his hand, hit him, and he beat me down again. That was the last time I ever tried to pick a fight with anybody, and I just waited for the fight to come to me. But yeah, but that was the goal. After a while, you learn to fight, so you don't have to fight. You just don't have to worry about it. But when it does come, you can be ready for it.
I think all men have that in them, right? I think even the guys that don't know, like you go to the gym and it's that little bit of like nervousness because you're going to spar or something, but you get in there. And you just go for it.
You realize that you're not made of glass, you can get hurt, but that's not going to kill you. You're not going to get hurt bad, I mean, it's normal, So it actually gets you that mindset that you're not really as scared as you think you are.
Right.
You're really actually down.
It's a good feeling.
Yeah.
Like I tell people it's hard to explain that feeling.
Yeah.
If even when you get a little beat up, right?
Yeah.
You're like done with the round. You give your guy, your partner a pound, like, good round, cool, thank you. Get your stuff, and you get in the car, and you feel a little beat up, but you feel like, how many people in this world are actually do this?
Yeah.
Actually put on the gloves or roll or do whatever and do it. Not that many people. I can ask people like on the job site, like, who rolls here? And it'll be like one guy, and everybody else is like, oh yeah, I know what that is, but I don't do it.
Yeah, we would get down in the parking lot in the job sites. I was like 2-1. I was proud of that too. I was proud of that one loss because they was like a pretty big dude, and I was like, "That's right, I'll fight with anybody." I don't care. And as long as you fight, as long as you got down, and you know that you weren't scared that you're gonna feel me, regardless. Even if you hurt me, you're still gonna feel me.
I think that's the mindset that most guys need to have. You know, we talk about the work ethic. We talk about just being able to defend yourself. And it doesn't mean that you're an expert or you're going to be, Kimbo Slice or something but it's going to mean that, hey, like you said, I'm not going to die in this fight. I'm going to leave my mark on this dude at least one shot.
One shot, give
right?
me one, man. That's it.
Hopefully we'll shake hands, walk away, and you can leave with your head up high.
And everybody around you know that fool will fight you regardless.
Yeah.
If you beat him down night, he's still going to fight you, you know.
You sound like Uncle Louie, man, because Uncle Louie was always like that. I told Uncle Louie I never would want to fight him.
Yeah.
Because he was like a Johnny Knoxville. Like you hit him and he gets back up. Yeah. And nothing really going to stop him till he really keeps going.
No, he's got the fish hook, the face grab, oh man, dude, I wouldn't mess with Louis at all, dude. He was like, I'll grab his face, rip it off, like what the heck.
He's been telling me for years, I want to go and roll with you and see what you got. And I was like, okay. But then the last couple of years, I was like, you going to still come? And he's like, nah. I'm all jacked up,
his
man.
Shoulders, he can throw one, dude.
He's
you ever
all
see his shoulder pop out?
Yeah. That's what he tells me. He's like, I'm all messed up now, man. Just way too many fights. I can't even do it. He goes, I wish I could do it. And I was like, you waited too long, man. You're 50 years old now.
Yeah.
But it's always good to do that. You mentioned about church and about giving your life to God. And before we get to that, our families got saved or gave their life to God when we were young. They, same neighborhood, same everything, right? Your dad is my mom's brother. They all grew up together. Found God early in their life. Came from the Florence neighborhood. Since tomorrow is Friday the 13th, I'll give a shout out.
That's their day. That's their day.
That's their day, right?
613.
And when my dad passed, Uncle Woody was there. Right, and my dad passed on Friday the 13th.
Oh wow!
And the first thing your dad told me is he grabbed me and he's like, "Today, when we were young, we used to say that today was our day. Mm-hmm. This was our day." Wow. And I was like, "Really?" And after he's like, "Yeah," I go, "I never knew that." He goes, "Yeah, Friday the 13th, that was our day." It was kind of like a little, I don't know, a little something, like that's kind of cool.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they gave their life to the Lord, got out the neighborhood. And I ask guys this all the time, and did you ever experience God when you were young?
No, man, no. I never ever experienced God when I was young.
It was kind of like just going to church, because I remember you like rebelled early.
Yeah,
probably like the first guy to really be like, this church thing ain't for me.
Honestly, I had that mentality probably, like, I would say by the third grade.
Yeah.
It was...
Pull the mic a little bit closer.
It was,
there you go.
It was pretty much... I hated God by the time I was in third grade.
That young?
Yeah.
What did anything fuel that, or you just...
Well, yeah, like, me and you, obviously, we have kind of a dark past, between our families, and I don't remember too much of it. A lot of people kept it from me. Until I was like 20, I found out, everything. I just knew that my dad wasn't a pastor anymore. My dad lived at my grandma's, and we lived at my grandma's in Huntington Park. And so I just I was always a bad kid. I was always like, we were drug into church. I mean, we had Wednesdays, Fridays,
right?
Twice prayer meeting, twice on Sunday, choir practice, drama practice, sheepfold leaders meetings, conferences, revivals. I mean,
everything. We were at church a lot,
all the time. And then when we'd go to church, our parents would go do our thing, and we were just left by ourselves,
right?
So we'd get in trouble, run around the neighborhood, just causing trouble, and so I just knew that what happened really was like, I remember transferring to Laurel Elementary, and I was excited to go there. I was really, really happy. I had my little fanny pack. I remember it like clearly, dude. I was
Champ with a fanny pack. I want to see that picture.
It was brown. I had a bunch of mechanical pencils in there, and Sharpies and
Did you like? First of all, did you like school at one time?
Well, I don't. Yeah, I did, but not really. Like that was the age.
So it was already in you.
Yeah, okay, man. Yeah, right. So
makes sense.
The reason why though was because really like I remember having stickers that I wanted to put on my paperwork that I did a good job, because I never really did a good job, but was always bad, you know.
Yeah.
And I remember my teacher, Miss Capener, you know, I couldn't read. I couldn't read for the life of me. I couldn't spell. I didn't know math. I mean, I didn't get it, you know. And like we said, my parents, they never graduated junior high.
Yeah.
You know, they never really graduated, and that they couldn't help me really, you know. And it was hard. It was really hard for me to pick it up, you know. And my teacher, she would be mean, bro. Like, she would be in the back of my ear yelling at me, "Come on, you can read this. Read. What's wrong with you?" And I'll be the only kid in the class doing that to me. And she would hit me with the ruler in the back of the neck, or the hand with the metal part, you know. And it would scare me to the point where I couldn't even write at all, you know. And I would try to tell my parents, and they thought I was always the boy that cried wolf. They didn't believe me, you know. And I would go home, my mom would be trying to help me, and I couldn't get it. She'd be doing the same thing, and then I couldn't write. Like, I would get so scared that I wouldn't be able to write, you know. And it was hard. And I remember the time where I said, you know what, screw it. I remember kicking my fanny pack over that thing, and the next day it was on. I had a buddy named Jacob Garcia. Actually, he's still my buddy. He's a Little Willie G's son, Jacob Garcia.
Oh, you know him?
Yeah,
drummer.
Yeah. That's my boy, dude. We're still friends. You know, he was a bad kid too. I got a hold of this kid Thomas, who was making fun of me, and I beat him. And I remember right before the bell rang, he grabbed my back of my leg, and I had my Alley Gears, you know, the old Alley Gears with a little license plate, and I kicked him right in the nose, and his nose exploded like a tomato.
Oh.
Blood went away everywhere, and I was screaming, just mad at everything. You know, nobody listening to me. The teachers hitting me. I just couldn't read. I was getting made fun of, and the mom called the cops on me. They wanted to press charges on me. My dad came. My mom came. They asked me where I live. I told them I lived in Huntington Park. They're like, "What are you doing in Whittier?" It was bad. And I remember my dad taking me home that day, and he whooped me, bro. I mean, pants down, but, you know, I just about was swinging. And I remember going to my room crying and just telling God, "I hate you. I hate you. Nobody's listening to me. I was just a kid, you know, nobody, and that was bad. It was kind of my fault, but I was still a kid. I was in the 3rd grade, you know. And I remember that I was crying and telling God that I hate you. I can't, you know, I was pissed. And, from that point out, school was out, and I didn't care about school anymore. I couldn't get it, and I struggled all the way up until I was 16. I struggled with school. I struggled. It was hard. Nobody could really help me, and by the time I got to 6th or 7th grade, I didn't even care about it. I mean, I was already smoking cigarettes, smoking weed, as soon as I left my parents' house, I was bad, you know.
Do you think you had like a learning disability looking back now?
I think I was just a slow learner.
Yeah.
You know, like, I don't know, because I'm obviously I read plans, I talk to inspectors, I talk to engineers. I'm constantly reading the code book. I corrected an inspector yesterday on a code violation. I went through the whole code, found the code, and said, "Hey, you're in the wrong section," you know. And so I think I was just maybe a slow learner.
Because I think there's a lot of kids like that fall through the cracks, and teachers think, like, you know, like, you're not trying, or you're not, and there is I think it's more evident now, or they can see it more and know now. But I think there was a time when it was just like, you're just doing that on purpose, or you're just dumb, or you're just, and nobody wants to really help. And I got to a point, it wasn't that early in 3rd grade, but a point where I felt like my parents couldn't help me with homework, right? You know. And there was a part, probably Cam will tell you, that I was like, bro, I didn't fake it. My parents probably faked it and act like they were helping us, and they weren't. I would tell Cam, like, I don't know how to do this, bro. You're gonna look it up on the internet, but we didn't have the internet. You know what I mean? And our families, you know, maybe they didn't have the best education, so I mean, I can't blame them. But going back to the feeling of, you know, against God is a strong point for you there in 3rd grade, and really saying enough's enough. I mean, it's so contrast, bro. You know what I mean? Because I think, you know, I felt God when I was like 6 years old, and I had just an experience. You know, I just felt God, and just just touched me one day, and I never lost that through family hardships and everything. And I remember a lot of times growing up, maybe you or Uncle Lou, a little bit like why ain't you like us?
Yeah.
And you're that's Dave. He's different. And as we got older, even with like Vince and guys like I grew up with too, we got to a point where there was definitely a separation where I seen like I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And the only thing that kept me was God. And I always think it's a trip because not that you got separated by God, but it was because of things involved in church or ministry or family that were connected to God. You said, I don't want that.
Yeah, it was my dad's. That was my dad's life. My dad chose that life, not me. That was their life. They needed it, not me. You know, I didn't. I just, like I said, you just go. You growing up in church, you go cold to the word. You go cold to the reverence. The respect. It just becomes just somewhere you get drugged to every day.
I think it becomes. I think we can make a great analogy with that. You mentioned about the paisas that come here. Right, and they're grateful to get that job, and they bust their butt. And I think, right, like you get, because we didn't live a life like our mom and dad's lived, which was
right,
a rough life, right? No family, no love, death, alcoholism, drugs, gangs, neighborhood life, and then we live a life where both our dads worked for the gas company, and we had things. Yeah. We didn't go without, but there was I think sometimes we would get like we have a good life, and so the gratefulness of church or growing up the way we grew up was like forget it. Yeah.
Growing up as a kid, I seen devils manifest more than I seen God move ever.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Like that was like, I remember many times. And I remember one time at Huntington Park, I was like 11. This big lady, she was a big lady. She was like 3 or 4 rows in front of, on the left side by the doors. And Sister Neville came out, and this lady started, rah, rah. She just started freaking out, right? A couple ushers tackled her. She was throwing people off, and I was like, what the heck? And they took her out the side, and I went that way, and who was in front of me? My dad. My dad was right there looking right in the eye. And he's like, are you scared of Jesus? And she's looking around with this crazy face. He says, F Jesus. And I remember clear, my dad looked with a smirk, get her upstairs. And they put a Holy Ghost beat down on her, and she came out. And she was saying that she's seen Sister Neville come out, and she was in a white cloth with the crown on her head and half in blood. That's what she's seen, and like it was like the glory of God, probably, or something like that. Yeah. But the demon inside her like freaked out. I mean, I seen that more than I seen God. So I always knew that there's
some power.
There is an entity for sure. Like like a devil. Like that was real. And I would hear my dad tell stories of how they would just cast a demon out of dudes. George Verdugo always doing that. One time they had a outreach, and they were going to go toe to toe with some Satan worshipers, and they started praying all the same. I mean, it was like, that was what I seen more. I didn't never seen God move, or we never seen. Now you see a testimony, you're like, wow, God really changed life. But back in the day, growing up as a kid, we seen that more than we seen God move. I did. Obviously they were seeing things different, but that's what I seen more.
Yeah, because one thing about Uncle Woody was that, he would go toe to toe with people that were all kinds of different people. I remember there was a guy that came to the church one time and said he was part of the MA, the mafia, and that he didn't like Uncle Woody. He was gonna put a hit out on him. There was always like something going on that was just like crazy. Yeah. And Uncle Woody was like in that mix as a pastor, as assistant pastor, kind of doing his thing. And that's a trip though. I never really, I never really thought about it like that. Now that you say that, I think like with Vince and I know some of the things that he went through in church and maybe just didn't have that experience and had some hurt there and left church. I think, I don't know what it was. It's hard for me. I understand it,
Yeah.
It's hard, but I always think like, why did I stay on this side? You know what I mean? I didn't rebel. I always try to figure out like, what was it that kept me? Because there was been plenty of times when I could have said, I'm mad at you, God, or I'm upset because of this situation, or just kind of like back off, man. And I don't know what it is, grace, is it, God's luck. I don't know what to call it, like there's no like formula for that. Yeah. Right.
It was too like a lot of like, oh, this is Pastor Woody's son. No, it's Pastor Woody's son, I would get prophesied over, I remember being in a conference and being, hey, I got hit by a car. Remember when I got hit by the car at the church, and I had a cane, and we were at the Ontario. That was a whole nother, dude. We would party at conferences, dude, like we getting high, partying with the girls at different churches, getting little hotel rooms, I was bad, we had no respect for God. And I get prophesying like, man, just leave me alone. Just leave me alone. I don't want this. This is right. I would always think it was because of my dad. That's the only reason why you're saying that, because of my dad, Pastor Woody. Like you wouldn't be saying that if I was just a normal person. My dad wasn't who he was, So it would make me bitter, it'd make me mad. I didn't like it, I wanted to be my own person, my own identity. I wanted to make my own choices, not the choices that my dad made, or just to please my dad or make my dad happy because I'm on that side of the line with him,
Yeah.
So
when did you decide like you were gonna be your own man?
Yeah, pretty much. Like like I said, once school, I just didn't want anything to do with it. I was I wanted to be completely opposite of what my dad was. So whatever it took, whether it was drugs, basically it was drugs, alcohol, just being bad, hooking, whatever it was that my dad didn't do, that's what I wanted to do. So it was like I said, like when I was in the seventh grade was the first time I ever did a line of, at the time it wasn't called crystal meth, it was Scante, champagne, peanut butter, lemon drop, it was awful. It was like tweak, but it was just dirty, and then your body would be aching so bad. I'd be doing it before Bible study. My mom would wonder why I can't stay still, I just picked up a drug habit really fast at a real young age, Do
you think they recognized it coming from where they came from?
They what's crazy about it is because, Goober, right? Junior, when he passed away in the drunk driving accident, right? I think that kind of scared them. So they rather me drink in the garage than be out on the street, They didn't
figured
know.
You're going to do it anyway.
Yeah. And, it was crazy because all like Los and Jesse and little Willie and James, anytime they wanted to be bad or get high, they'd go to Champ's house. And we would get high in the garage or do things in the garage, And my parents were just trying to protect me, and they didn't know how to just keep me from running out like my dad did when he was 13 years old and never coming back, So they were it was like it was a catch-22 for them because they didn't want to lose their son at the same time their son wasn't listening anyways, So what do we do, So we would get wasted in the garage, man. I mean, tore up. When we would open, one time my mom woke up at 6 a.m. We were just coming out of the garage. We spray painted the dog gold, My mom was like, oh my God, the dog, what, babe, the dog, So it was like constant. I remember one time I broke into a house with my buddy Grits, and we were writing on the walls right before church. And I came home, my little Auburn, my GT Auburn, and I already had a guilty look on my face, and I was probably like 14, and I had a paint splash on my face, and my mom's like, what are you up to? You're up to something. I'm like, I'm not up to anything. Relax, calm down. She's like, yeah, you were. And she's like, you're sniffing paint. And I'm like, what the heck? What are you? My dad's like, boy, you better not be sniffing paint. You know what I was doing next weekend? I was sniffing paint. I never even knew.
They gave you the idea.
They gave me the idea. So I went from sniffing paint, sniffing glue, sniffing computer cleaner, markers. I mean, I was whatever I wanted this to be bad. I didn't care what it was,
Man.
So it was I just didn't realize that I was building up this heavy addiction and this bondage that basically had me, I'm 40 years old, and I finally, it's crazy.
What, you talk about being addicted to that. is there parts of your life that I don't remember that.
Yeah.
Because I remember for a long time you were addicted to some sort of drug.
Yeah, crystal meth. I went from 1998 snorting it to like 2000 smoking it, and I smoked it to hot rails, and then we started smoking H, and then I started smoking. I took a couple times to the straight to the vein, a couple dudes, and I was just bad. I probably was like 120 pounds. Me and my dad would get in some freaking crazy fights, like mean fights, and it would be a trip, bro, because I didn't value my dad the way I valued him. Obviously as I got older, my dad, he just, I hated what he did. I would blow speed, smoke in their pictures at the house. I'd share. It was crazy because I shared the room with my dad where he studied to preach while I was smoking speed.
Wow. And
they would come in the room and think it was dust because you couldn't smell it. It's dusty in here, but it was just a bunch of smoke, and smoking. And I just got real. Me and Uncle Louie, me and Auntie Reed, like it got real bad, and then my buddy's houses started to get raided, and I was thinking, dang, dude, like imagine my dad's house gets raided, these get thrown on the ground. But we would have like, I remember one fight me and my dad had, it was bad. I mean, I called the cops. I wanted to pull a gun on the cops and they shoot me dead right there, and I even called, hey, my dad, and I need police assistance. My son's going crazy. He's on drugs. I need help. He's going to kill me. And my dad's like, get off the phone, boy. And I was like, you hear him? Please come. And I hung up and I stood in the front yard. Nobody ever came. It was a trip. And then that day, my dad was going to preach a revival. He didn't want to go. And my mom told him, don't let the enemy win like this. You have to go. Go. And my dad went. And I remember he came home and I was seeing the couch normal. And I was like, hey, Dad, what's going on? How was church? And my dad had this look like, who the heck are you, dude? Like, he was like, it was good, man. I realized that I'm no better than the people I'm preaching to. God moved, we were all going through the same situations. And he goes, I'm glad that I went and the devil didn't rob me. And he just looked at me and turned around and walked away. And I felt like, dang, I was being used to stop my dad from whatever happened at that night at that church, And it was like constantly like that while I was on meth. Constantly, man, and
Is the despisement, everything that happened to you when you were younger, was that kind of what drove the drugs to kind of cover that, or were you just addicted and you just wanted to party?
That's a good question because I've been asked that. I've been sober for 7 months now, and I went 25 years of just always on some type of drug, and I don't know. I think it went from like a party mode to you needed it, like I just didn't realize that I was creating this habit, and even with weed, I've always smoked weed. I was smoking weed when I was like 13 years old, smoking, like I said, I was doing, Scante at the 7th grade in the
crazy.
Yeah, in the at Hillview, it's like I was just tripping out, like I was thinking about all this stuff, and I think I just created this habit that I had no idea that I was creating, And
did you ever try to stop?
No,
never.
No,
because you hear that all the time, right? I was in rehab.
Well, I did actually when I went to the men's home. So before
church one,
yeah, Pastor Kelly with Pastor David.
Okay,
yeah. Right before I left, I sold a car. I was still doing electrical. I was the only one that could maintain work, and
so you were a functioning addict.
Yeah, heck yeah. I was always that way. But I would struggle. I would be broke because I was always had, my buddies slang speed. So I would get the speed and then, I'd bring it to the church friends like Jesse and, and that was like another explosion where they went off in their own ways, and I felt like, damn, that's crazy, like I brought it to the table and then because I had my church friends and I had my street friends, and I'm not like a type of guy that has all kind. I got like 5-6 good friends outside of church. They're still my friends, 25, 30 years. Still my friends. We talk all the time, But we all went through the stages. There was slang. We had a little entourage, deal, and we would sell drugs. I wouldn't sell drugs. I would just be doing the drugs, I would kind of just drive them around while they slang it all through Whittier, And so yeah, I went to, I remember I sold the truck and I was talking to Pastor Kelly, cooking my speed, while Louis is chomping his gun, washing everybody's car because he was high as a kite, you know. It's crazy. And I just told Pastor Kelly, I need to get out of here. I need to get out of here. I don't want God. I don't want him. I just need to sober up, get back on my feet, and come back home. But I don't want God. Nothing to do with God at all. And my dad and Pascal were like, yeah, whatever. They know what's up, you know, when it's in God's hand and I'm going that way, you know, they already know God's going to move in some way, you know. So I left, and I was like 6 months where I didn't do any drugs.
Oh, you were clean for 6 months?
Yeah.
How did that feel?
It felt, you know, honestly, like the first month that I was there, I fought God. I fought him. And then I heard an Amazing Grace, How Sweet the Sound, the song, and I couldn't take it. And I went to the altar and I broke. That was the first time God touched my heart. And then I seen God for the first time move like the enemy, the devil would move. Like I seen a man. It's crazy because we're outreaching in Wyandotte, which is like Compton of Kansas City, you know, and I had blonde hair all spiked up, you know, and I was crossing the street and there were some people at the corner passing out flyers, and this big black dude was walking beat up. He was all beat up and missing teeth. And I was crossing the street and he was coming in my path, and they didn't pass him a flyer. And I was like, you know, I ain't gonna be scared of this dude. I don't care who he is, you know, I'm gonna tell him what's up. And I was like, what's up, dog? Hey, he says, come back home, man. He still loves you. He hasn't forgot who you were. He still wants you back home. And he looked at me. He's like, you know who I am? And I said, I don't care who you are. I'm telling you, God's telling you to come back home. And he looked back and goes, you know who I am, bro. You have to know. I go, bro, I'm from Los Angeles. I'm from California. I have no idea. I don't care. I'm telling you, man, God wants you back home. And I started telling him about my testimony and why I'm out there. And I asked him, you mind if we pray for you? And he was like, he looked back. He's like, yeah, you know, pray for me. And I was like scared. And George Verdugo was there. And I threw a whistle and some dudes from Monte Flores were right there, you know. And they came right there and they just started talking to him. And they're like, pray for him, champ. And I was like, no, I don't want to pray for him. I don't want to pray for him. So George started praying for him. And I'm not kidding you, man. This guy, he rose his hands. He started speaking in tongues, crying. He pulled out a bag of heroin. He pulled out a bag of crack. He pulled out syringes. He pulled out weed. He just started pulling all this stuff out. And I'm like, what the heck? Like, that dude was delivered right there on the spot. That was the first time. I remember that so clear. That was the first time I ever seen God move like that before. And I was like, whoa, you know. And I still, to this day, like, there's a couple of things in Kansas City where I was like, wow, that was God right there, you know. And I never knew that, you know. But I let him in my heart. But I was young. You know, obviously, when I came back, I fell back down. You know,
what was the pull back from
girls?
From that? Girls,
yeah, girls. I was riding some girl. My dad told me when I came back that you don't backslide overnight. You know, it takes time. It begins with little here, a little there, a little there, and then all of a sudden you're not asking God for forgiveness anymore, and then you're back where you're at. You know. So that's what happened. I was riding some girl and kind of came back, and I started dabbling with speed again. You know, I started dabbling in my drugs again, started picking up my weed, you know, and then this time my mom and dad weren't having it though. We were fighting just the same, you know.
Now, was it a little bit different since you had experienced God? Was it still hate towards God, or was it, you know, like, I know who God is, but I just don't want God?
That's what, yeah, there was no hate. It was just like that. It's like, that was God, you know, and that was cool, but that's not me. I don't want it, you know. I'm my own person.
And what is your dad telling you these years?
You know, my dad was hard. He didn't push God or Christianity or church in my life. He just told me that with every decision, there's a consequence, regardless of a good decision or a bad decision. You know, and so he would remember you. Your sin's gonna take you to hell, son. You know, like, you know, he didn't really know. He, like, my dad, like, dang. He didn't want to push me away. He still wanted me to be his son.
Wanted you to stay close. I think that's. It's very difficult to do that, though.
Yeah.
Right? Because, you know, I had this dude, and I brought you up with him, and he does videos on. I won't say his name, but he does videos online. It's big, and he was talking about this big time pastor, and he was mentioning his son, right? And his son was like trying to be a rapper, and the dude was analyzing this kid's rap song, and it wasn't good. It wasn't no Christian rap song. This dude's talking about, guns and getting drugs and girls. But when I was kind of mad with the dude because I thought, whatever his dad did, I mean, the guy didn't like his dad, whatever. He said he was a big time pastor, whatever. Just didn't like him. But he was going in on the kid and his rap. And the kid's like 16, 17 years old. And I kind of stay in my lane, right? But I thought, man, I sent him a text because the guy says in this video, like, hey, I asked counsel if I should post this video. And people told me, yeah, go ahead and do it. And I told him, did you really get counsel that was okay? And he goes, well, yeah, I don't like, that pastor, what he's doing is wrong. And I said, okay, I get that. You want to go in on the dad, great. But this kid is just lost. And here's this dad trying to still love this kid. That's his son, regardless of him being lost or not. Right? And I said, maybe, you can get mad at the dad a little bit, but maybe not put the kid in there so much and just blast. Because he was going through the kid's video and stopping it and making, I thought it was making fun of the kid. And I told him, I said, hey, man, I have a cousin that gave his life to the Lord. And it's like a week after you got baptized, right?
Yeah.
And I said, he was bad his whole life pretty much, And my uncle's been a pastor his whole life. And it's a complicated thing to love your child, especially in this day and age where you see that child's life.
Yeah.
Because of social media or everything, right? We know everybody's life story pretty much, at least what they show on social media. But I told the dude, I said, I have a cousin like that, man. And here's the picture of him. And his life has changed, but it was a struggle for my uncle to manage a church and have people and preach about things. But his son is wild. And I said, maybe you shouldn't have done that, because regardless, that's his son and he still loves his son, right?
I look at it now different. I look at it like this. My dad showed me the perfect example of what God's love has for you, because he can care less about your sin. He can care less about your past or care less about what you've done today, tomorrow, in the future. God's going to love you no matter what. And that's what my dad was. He loved me. He didn't care, he didn't care. He just loved me, and he showed me that grace that God shows us. And he showed me that love that God has for us, regardless of who we are. And it had to be tough. I would. I watch my dad preach now, and I trip out because he was preaching about the 1% out of the 99, and I could hear his throat, and I think I wonder if he's thinking about me.
Yeah.
One time my dad told me, what is it worth for me to win all these souls for God's kingdom, and I can't even win my sons? And that hurt, man. I was like, dang, I didn't ask you to choose this life, Pop. God chose this life for you, and now that I'm, different, saved, I hear people say that my dad would say, this is the faith that my dad had, that he would say, I know in my heart, it might not be in my lifetime, but my son's going to serve God.
Wow.
Yeah. I heard that. Yeah. I heard that on Sunday at church. And I was like, dang, dude, my dad just kept the faith, man. He knew, and
I think that was the biggest thing about him, one of his strong points. And I think that's what he showed a lot of people, because obviously every pastor's kid doesn't turn out the greatest, right? You make your own decisions. You
probably the worst one sometimes,
It's rough.
Yeah.
It's a rough life, right?
You judged.
You get judged big time, right? Yeah. Every mistake is highlighted 10 times over.
The chosen kid, Yeah,
right.
yeah.
So there's a lot of scrutiny. There's a lot of pressure on a pastor's kid if he makes a mistake or does something wrong, or if pastor makes a mistake or whatever it may be. But I think the strong point of Uncle Woody was that he was able to show his love to you and show people how to love a prodigal son, basically. You know what I mean? A son that had went away. Like, I think that was big, even for me. Like, I was like, man, but Uncle Woody loves him no matter what. Yeah. And because, I mean, there's a lot of people that probably would have said 25 years of this guy giving us headaches. We're done.
When I would tell people, like, I never really said it, but when I would say it, they'd be like, your dad's a pastor? I would never go to your dad's church. That's what they would say. Like, screw you, man. So what? My dad's not me. I'm me. Yeah. They would say that, so. Because
a lot of guys would have a lot of pastors would have probably just said, man, this is too much. How do you get up there and preach, about sin or about raising a family of God, and then people will be like, well, I mean, he did have Ronnie, but your sister, which was on point. Yeah, so it was extremes. Yeah. It was Ronnie. It was you. I mean, it was like
Ronnie's my dad's disciple, man. It's crazy because my dad, he knew how to love us.
Yeah,
he knew how to show me love and how to show Ron love. He showed Ron love by studying and praying and getting spiritual. He showed me love by going fishing, hanging out, watching movies, going to Dodger games, hanging out, quality time. And when he passed, we were wishing for different. I was wishing that because I never knew my dad spiritually. I seen him on the pulpit. He was one of my favorite preachers because he would get down, he'd tell it like it is. But I didn't get to experience that part with my dad. And anytime, like, my dad was like my priesthood. Like, honestly, if my dad was still alive today, I wouldn't be saved. Because anytime I had an issue, I'd go to my dad. Where I felt like I was in sin or I felt this way, I'd call my dad and we'd start talking and he'd coach me through it. Then I hang up the phone thinking I'm all right. I'll take my Coke a little slower, drink my wine slower. I would just, he was my guy. I didn't go to God. I went to my dad.
Was he like your kind of, as you grew older, like a little bit of a conscience start?
Yeah. He was.
Did you begin to realize a little bit like who he was now?
Well,
as you got older, because we don't really recognize the things that our parents do, right? It's kind of like we just grow up, and then when you start getting the age, that they are, you look back and like. I know I do that. Like I would, when there would be a time I was, young father, trying to raise his family, trying to work hard, wake up every morning. I wanted to ask my dad, like, how did you do that? How did you do that every day? Like, get up and go to church too, be faithful, come, take us places, do your thing.
I was doing the math. My dad was saved for 43 years, right? And this is just Wednesdays and Sundays, right? So there's 2, 4, 6, 8 days in a month, right? 8 days times 12, it was like something, then times 43. My dad went to church like 7,000 some odd times, and that's just Wednesdays and Sundays. We're not talking men's discipleships. We're not talking conferences, revivals, preaching. That's a lot of church. He went to church. I probably went to half of that with him. So like, I was tripping out, but. I didn't start to value my dad. Obviously, when I came back, I met a girl, my ex-wife. I'm divorced now, but I met my ex-wife, and she gave me an ultimatum to either cut the coke or cut the speed, or you're out. And my dad had kicked me out of the house. I was living with her, so I stopped. I went cold turkey and never picked up a pipe again. Never snorted speed again. But I picked up coke. Because you can sleep, you can eat, you can get high for 45 minutes.
Is it more functional than speed?
It is. It's definitely not like the movies, because
kids, this is not for those purposes, but we're just trying to understand this.
It's not like the movies where the movies they do all coke and they're all flying and partying, because you do coke for about a good 2 hours, you're stuck in a corner and you're just doing coke for the rest of the night. It doesn't work that way. You're not having sex all night long on coke either, man. None of that stuff too. So it's like it was
the reality.
Yeah,
right?
It's real.
Okay.
It's not like movies. But yeah, I I got that. I picked up on that, and pills. You know, I started doing pills. You know, starting taking Norcos and Vicodins. You know, and with weed. You know, and I actually got my ex-wife kind of started doing coke too, and then it just became. I was with her for 15 years, and 9 of those we were married, but we just partied. It was just party every weekend, party, and it just got old, man. And I was trying to balance it. Like, man, I'm getting tired. I've already been doing this since I was 13 years old. It's the same old thing, man. You know, like I didn't know how to balance it. You know, and she wasn't really in the mood of stopping. You know, I stopped drinking beer probably in 2018, so I wasn't saved, but I stopped drinking beer because I couldn't hold it down. I was getting heartburn, and the coke and the beer didn't mix, so I'd rather just do coke and drink vodka to get. So I would get the alcohol going to get the motor going. Once I got the motor going, then the drugs started going. You know, so there would be times where I'd be on 5 drugs, 5 standing. You know, like nothing.
Any scares doing all that?
Yeah. One after I went through my divorce, I was taking Norcos. You know, now there's a lot of fentanyl out. You know, there's a lot of drugs that are taking a lot of people's lives. You know, and a lot of people are going down. So
it's pretty scary.
Yeah, you know, I would pop a pill scared. You know, and whenever I got a script from a doctor, I was like, I don't have to worry. But when I buy it on the street, I'd be like, dang, pop it. Wonder. You know, I'd be doing laundry and drop, you know, like, whoa, grab my chest, and I would want to call my dad, and I just stay calm, drink some water, and walk it out, you know, because you're from taking the Norco so much, your chest just gets numb, you know, you just can't feel yourself breathing anymore. Like, whoa, what's going on, you know, like, yeah. But never, like, where I went to the hospital or anything like that, just, I maintain, you know. My dad, he would say, maintain, don't ever do too much drugs where you don't know what's going on, you know. So I would always, like, I learned how to do drugs, you know. I would do a little bit here, a little bit of shrooms, a little bit of acid, a little bit of speed, and then as I built the tolerance, I knew how much it take. And by the time I was already, you know, I'd take on a Friday, I would pop about 8 Norcos from the morning to I got home. I'd buy my bag of coke. I would smoke my weed, drink my alcohol, and party. You know, just, you know, shrooms. You know, like I just shrooming towards the end. I was grinding up shrooms in my coffee and driving to work. Yeah, man. So it's just what happened was me and my ex. I stopped drinking in 2018. Stopped drinking beer. You know, and I started trying to chill. Still doing the drugs, but just chill with the beer. You know, and trying to go to church and just trying to make a little change, and it just wasn't happening in the home, you know, and you know, she just wasn't happy, you know, and I was honestly betrayed in the worst way, man. And I tried to keep God out, try to keep my dad out, try to keep my family out. That's when I started doing the kung fu and reading books and going to see a therapist. And maybe because she kept using the excuse of me always being on drugs and never being sober. Again, too, I wasn't perfect. I was moody. I'd take my Norcos, I'd be high, cool, happy, and then all of a sudden come crash and be moody. You couldn't even touch me because I'd get mad, you know, like. So I had my ups and downs as far as the drugs went. But I, you know, when I got married, I didn't just marry her. I made a promise to God, and regardless of my sin in my life, there was still a reverence to some of the, you know, laws, which would be faithful.
Vows.
Yeah. That's, you know, you don't do that, you know. So I stood that way, you know. And I remember before we got married, we had to give our lives to God, even though we weren't saved. You know, I just wanted to make that a point that, hey, Lord, I'm recognizing this is something special. You know, we're no longer going to live in sin, you know. And I used to think about that when I'd be living with her. So we got married, and, you know, and it was cool, but she just wasn't honest, you know, and it broke me. It broke me. And I tried to keep everybody out. My sister would say my dad would be driving around Whittier waiting for me to call him.
Wow.
Yeah, and I wouldn't call nobody. I just closed in, and then I started wanting to quit my job, contemplating suicide. You know, it was just bad, bro. It was bad, you know. And finally, when I started thinking that way, I have a couple guns. You know, I didn't want to get near my guns. Like, I was scared to even just get near them. My Bible would be over there by them, and I wouldn't want to go over there because I was just it was just weird, bro. I was having some wicked dreams, demonic dreams.
Did you feel like just a spiritual battle going on between the enemy, just kind of the devil just trying to pull you, and your dad's prayers, your mom's prayers, kind of, and God trying to pull you this way, and you're just going down the rabbit hole.
It was a fight. It was a fight my whole life. I felt that way. I've always felt that way, you know. But I didn't want it, and it was like that point in my life. Yeah, and finally I opened up to my dad, and I started telling him how I felt and how the dreams I was having. And my dad said, "You're being attacked, son. You need to pray. You know, you need to ask God for guidance, ask God for the answer." Because my whole thing was, God hates divorce. Even if I was still in sin, because of the way I was brought up, I had some values to Christianity and being saved, and God hated that.
And marriage, because your parents stood married all those years.
Yeah, exactly. And so I just, I didn't want that. If anything, I wanted a clean slate, you know, and she wasn't being honest. She was just saying it was me, you know, and so I let my dad in, and I finally opened up to him. I was ashamed, but I didn't really know what was going on. I was just ashamed that my relationship was where it was at. So, man, my dad, and this was about 3 years before he passed, right? 3 or 4 years before he passed. He started to show me how to pray. He started showing me how to pray and see God and ask God for the answer. And my dad would say, God, you might not like the answer God's going to give you, but it's for your own good. You know, might be what you're asking for, but God's going to give it to you, son. Just believe, you know. And my dad would go to my house and he'd lay prayers down, speaking. I would get weird and shut the windows because he'd be speaking in tongues, and he had that look, you know, and just with his oil, man. I'm like, man, this dude's crazy, you know, like I'd never seen that, you know. I was like, man, I would close the door and I'm like, man, Dad, he's going loud, you know. I was tripping out. He would do that, you know. It just started doing that, so I started doing that, and I started going to church, you know. And I remember finally, it went from September, October, November, December. January is when I started feeling like I could do this. If she's going to leave, I'm going to be fine. I think I'm going to be okay. I'm not going to have to worry, you know. I'm going to be fine. And, dude, it was crazy because as soon as I got that strength that I was asking for, God opened the door and just revealed everything. And when I found out what had happened and what she did and how she did it, and where, like, it wasn't just I was like, I was in the car and I was on FaceTime with her own girlfriend, and she was sitting right next to me. We were supposed to be going to eat, and I'm like, what the hell? And I didn't feel like hitting her. I didn't feel like blasting that fool. I didn't feel any of that. I just felt this burden gone. And I was like, man, just take me home. I wasn't mad. My homie's like, let's go get him. You know, it's betrayal, bro. Bad, you know. And I know for a fact God was sparing him and me, because
it would have been all bad.
It would have been bad if I'd have found out in November. Bad for everybody, you know. And God didn't want that, you know.
Because at that point, you didn't have nothing to live for.
I
right?
was ready.
Yeah.
I was ready. You know, I was in a bad spot, and God's like, you can't handle this.
Wow.
You can't handle this, son. Sorry. My dad started praying. I started praying, asking God for the answer. Boom. He gave me the answer. I didn't expect that answer. I didn't like the answer, but the next morning I remember my homies like, come to the back, we're going to have a party, dog. We're going to have all kinds of girls. I was like, hell yeah. And I was driving in a Lyft, and I was just looking at the clouds, and I was like, thank you, Lord. Like, you gave me a clean slate.
Yeah.
I can leave. You won't.
It was revealed.
It was revealed. Adultery, you can't. I can walk away. I'm good to go. You know,
yeah.
I don't have to. I either can stay in this and forgive, or just say, you know what, nah, I'm gone. You know, and it was like, wow, thank you, Jesus, you gave me that. So I was like, at that point, I was like, all right, God, you cool. You know, I was like, I'll come to church.
I see who you are.
Yeah,
yeah.
I'll come to church. I'll let you in my life. You know.
It's crazy how you say that, you know, like, I'll give you a little piece.
Yeah.
I'll let you in because you're from the streets,
yeah.
right? You did me good.
Exactly.
You
had my back.
We're good.
Yeah.
You had my back.
Yeah,
right?
he did. He really did, man. And it was crazy because I look at it. I didn't understand it in November, December, January. I mean, I didn't understand it. But when that time came, I realized that, dang, he was sparing me from doing something stupid.
Yeah, that would have been bad.
It would have been bad, bro. It would have been bad because it was her best friend's husband. You know, like, we'd go on vacations together. We'd probably do coke together. We would and so it's like, you would never, like, how long has it been going? You know, it was terrible. And it wasn't just that, you know, it was all kinds of crazy stuff. I'm like, man, dude, I didn't even feel like hitting her. I was just, you know, my buddy was just like, let's go. Like, you know, I'm like, God, if that's what God would wanted, he would have revealed it then. And it would have let me do my thing. But he didn't want that. So it'd just be stupid for me just to go and start something, you know, or do something dumb. So.
Which is a crazy change from who you were. I mean, from a kid that beat up the bully and to a pulp. Bullies. Yeah. You know what I mean? To a guy that was just, all right, I'm gonna let this indiscretion of great proportion just kind of just, I'm cool. Let it go. I
felt too like silence is more scary than words, you know. Like, for a while he had to be like, damn, this boy ain't saying nothing. Yeah, you know, what is this guy gonna do? You know, like, always, like, that's how I was too. I just stay quiet, you know, and just, you know, like, so he opened my eyes to know that God will answer your prayer, you know, if you really seek him and really pray. And that was it, man. Like, my family, me and my dad got, like, closer than. That's when I was like, I vowed to you. I mean, I would talk to him when I was with my relationship, but that time, like, he showed me, like, man, just pray, champ. That's all you got to do. Ask God. He'll take care of the rest. Have faith in that. That's it. Stand by that.
Wow.
You know, that's what he showed me. And he showed me how to pray. He showed me how to pray.
Wow.
Man. I didn't get saved.
Yeah.
I didn't give my life to God.
But you felt the power of God.
Yeah.
I think there's things in our life, right, where, you know, some people, they come from your background, will go, you know, come to church, get touched by God, instantly get transformed.
Yeah.
Some people, such as yourself, come and it's like chipping away.
Yeah.
I always tell, you know, Uncle Louie, our uncle, right? Yeah. Wild out forever, right? And I remember I would always pray for Uncle Louie, like, I don't know, like 30 years. And the running joke with Uncle Louie is that when he finally gave his life to the Lord, there was like 6 months after, I'm still praying, Lord, please save Uncle Louie, man. Let him give his life to the Lord. And I'm like, oh wait, he's already saved. But I was in the habit of praying. But I think, like, I'm sure if you talk to him too, there's instances where God reveals like himself a little bit, and those prayers from families, from mothers, from fathers, kind of go. You know, the Lord says, okay, let me show this guy a little something. Boom, that guy in Kansas City. Let me show him a little something. It stays in your mind, and he plants the seed. Some people it's just like boom, instant. Some people it's like a little seed, a little watering. You know, the plant starts to grow, maybe dies a little bit, but the roots are still in there. And then he comes back, and it just sounds like that's what happened to you.
Yeah, it's pretty much. Yeah, I couldn't get rid of the drugs. You know, I couldn't. You know.
At that point, did you want to get rid of the drugs?
You know, I would say, like, no, I didn't. You know, I got heavier into drugs when that went down. You know, I found, you know, God revealed everything.
Is now we're masking the problem?
Yeah.
Instead of you're not partying no more. You're just trying to
sure
get through.
It felt like, it's crazy because I was telling Fred, Facundo. It was like, when that happened, like, now I look at it like there was something gonna crack, right? And God wanted me to. He laughed at when I said it, but I felt like God just wanted me to get all the sin out of me. When I went through my divorces, it was like I make great money, you know. So I had my own pad, you know. I had girls in and out. I had the drugs. I had everything, you know. And it was just boom, 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 just like that was it, you know. My buddies would call me, "What baby do you have over tonight?" You know, like I'd take pictures, you know, and it just got like I was finally single, stable, had a job, had everything going for me. So prior to that, it wasn't like that. I was struggling. I was drug addict. I was, you know, living with my girl, you know, and I was making money. She was taking, you know, she had her own savings account while she used all my money, you know. So I never really was on my own, on my feet,
right,
living okay life, you know. And at that point, I was. So I had, like I said, girl, it was on, you know, for like 2.5 years. I've been divorced now, going on 3. She left in 2018, so it was on. And I still didn't even mess up until I found out. Even my homie's like, "Why aren't you hooking up with girls? How come you're not doing this?" I'm like, I don't know what she wants. I'm not gonna do this. I don't know if she's saying it's me. She's saying that she's the one. So I kept that, you know, all the way. But when I found out, then it was like, all right, cool.
We're done.
Yeah, I'm gonna call chicks now. You know, so it was just a straight party life again. But this time, I was on top. You know, I wasn't that dude that was just doing the drugs. You know, I had the drugs, and it was, you know.
Were you bitter again at life, or were you upset? Or
I was bitter towards women.
Women,
yeah. I even to this day, I still ask God for help in that, because I feel like, I mean, nowadays it's the women are totally, it's a different world, you know. Now it's like their world, you know, like that you owe them, like, you know what I mean. Especially you know, I mean, girls in, you know, I'm not, no disrespect to any woman out there, but a lot of some of them are just like they think you need them. You need me. I don't need you.
Yeah,
you know, and it's like that. Like, it's just this woman independent. Like, I don't need no man, or, you know. So it's like I got real bitter towards women. You know, don't trust. I don't trust him. And it, you know, yeah, it was just, yeah. So I would have the mentality, screw them, literally, you know. And that's how I was for a while, you know.
In 2021, going back a little bit, your dad got sick.
Yeah.
He got sick. You know, I think you know, I'll just share. You know, you're pretty vulnerable on here, you know.
Yeah.
I was, me and Uncle Woody, your dad, we were on kind of like a separate terms at the time, you know, and I don't know what happened there. I couldn't explain it, you know. I just kind of withdrew, and he withdrew. He definitely was an uncle that was always there for me. I mean, loved me. He was straight up with me a lot of times. There for me since I was a kid. I mean, he lived with us. Yeah. You know, when we were young. And then, you know, we had a little falling out. I wanted to do something with him, especially with like Florence in the video.
Yeah.
And I remember asking him to come to the podcast, you know, and I texted him and I was like, "Hey, Uncle Woody, what's up? You know, I got this podcast. I would love to get you on." And he said, "Good for you." It's just like that. Yeah. And I said, "Okay." And I left it, and we seen each other, and I always show me love. I always show him love, and it was weird because we were never like that.
Yeah.
And then he got sick, and I was like, man, it was, you know what's funny, because, you know, Pastor Kelly came to the podcast.
Yeah.
And he says, "What's up with you and Woody, man?" I said, I don't know what happened. You know, we're just kind of going through something. We're kind of separate right now. He goes, "Why don't you reach out to him?" I don't want to reach out to him, man. It'll happen. He's my uncle. We're going to see each other. It'll be fine. And he goes, "No, you should." I said, okay. And that's when I sent him that text, you know, and it ended at that. And then he ended up getting sick. And I don't think we all thought that he was going to be okay, right?
Yeah.
What was your perspective leading up, him getting sick, and going to the hospital?
It's crazy because my life, I look at it now, like my life started to change. Like my mentality, you know, I felt before my dad got sick, I would say at least 5 months before my dad got sick, I started to feel that I didn't belong where I was at. I didn't feel like I belonged in the bars. I started getting tired of the same old beer, the same old talk, the same old people, the same old thing. It started to bother me, you know, and I remember reading my Bible a little bit and praying, going to church. I started going to I love my church, Reach Paramount, you know, and Pastor Omar, I love that pastor, man. He's my pastor. He preached a sermon, and the next day at work, I used it in the same type of illustration to one of the guys. And I thought that I've been in church my whole life, and I ain't never done that before. I ain't never had a pastor impact me in a way where like, hey, dude, you can be this way. It's not about preaching on a bullhorn and yelling at the top of your lungs at people. It's a way of life. It's how you live, how you treat people, how you are represents Christ. And he was basically saying, if you're not that type of way, and don't represent it. Don't represent God. Don't do that, because you're giving me a bad name, because that's not you. We have grace. We live by grace. You know, we show grace to people. And I just used that one day, and I was like, what the heck? That was a trip, you know. And I started waking up with worship music in my head. I don't even go to church. Like, I waking up with worship music. I was listening to worship music, and I was telling my dad, this is crazy, Dad. Like, what the heck's going on? And my dad was like, you're just tired, son. You're tired. Excuse me. You're tired of your life. I used to think, like, how am I going to cross the line? How am I going to give up this life? What am I going to do? I'm going to post an Instagram post and tell everybody I'm sorry. That I wasn't the man that I should have been. That I wasn't representing what I was born into. You know, like, how am I going to do this? You know, me and my dad were talking a lot about it, you know, and I just felt this pull, heavy pull from God. Like, heavy, bro. Like, it was crazy. And then my dad got COVID. And when he got COVID, I remember calling him. I called him every day. Hey, Dad, how you doing? Day one, you know, 10 days at the time, you know. You pass 10 days, you're good, you know. So I'd call him. How you doing, Dad? Remember, fight. Don't be scared. Don't let this thing fear you. Because on the news, it was just boom, 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 fear, 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 you know. Don't let it get to you, man. Don't let it get to you. You know, my dad, my dad wasn't scared of a lot of things, but he was scared of COVID. He was scared of COVID. When I got COVID, when I was like the first one that got COVID, he came to the house. He had his mask on, gloves on. He took me to the hospital. You know, he was like, he told my Uncle Chapo that he feels that he's going to get the COVID the worst. It was weird. I don't know, because my dad was up north and something happened to him where he had high blood pressure. Yeah.
You know what? When he got sick that one time, went to the hospital.
You got admitted for like 4 days up there.
Yeah. And so when he got COVID, I was thinking, like, man, I thought to myself, like, this is a little bit more serious. Uncle Woody has some other health issues that are beginning, you know, that might affect this. I didn't think it the worst at the time, but I thought this might be a rough little ride right here.
Yeah, man. So it went you know, I kept calling him, checking up on him, and finally, like on day 11, he wanted to go to the hospital because he couldn't breathe. And I remember talking to him, like, don't do it, Dad. They're going to put you down, man. Don't go in that hospital. Don't go in. He didn't go that day. But the following day, my mom took him, you know. And I remember yelling at the doctor over the phone. And I told him that, Dad, you know, because they said he was acting weird. And you know, we did a lot of research, you know, while he was in there. And I just felt that that pure oxygen going to your nose maybe helps your mind, doesn't help your mind, I don't know. I was just thinking, and they were saying he was doing some weird things, and I told him, Dad, I'm picking you up, I'm getting you out of there right now. And the doctor says he could hear me on speaker, and my dad, I go, what did he say? And the doctor says I'm going to die. And I said, what? You're going to die? Screw him. I just started going off on the doctor because he's in there on a oxygen tank. What are you talking about? And so we hung up the phone, and then I think it was a Wednesday night, or no, it was Sunday morning. They called us and they said that we're going to put him on a ventilator, and
I know that was scary for us. We were happy. I think it was like the day or two before, they said he was doing better.
Yeah.
And so we were like, praise God,
it was
we were praying for him. He's doing better. Yeah. And then it was a bunch of mixed messages, man. Yeah. I'm over here like telling my sisters, like, they're sending texts, and they were all true, but they weren't in sequence, right? Yeah. So we were getting like these mixed messages. Yeah. And then I was just kind of like, man, what? Okay, everybody stop. Like, let's find out what's really going. Like, somebody ask Ronnie, ask Tone, what's going on, and then we'll go from there. Like, let one person. And you spread the message, because there was just so much. People were on Facebook, and I was like messaging them like, stop. Yeah, don't post nothing. Just stop. Yeah. Like, we don't want to hear it from everybody, and it got like, then he got to the ventilator, and that's when we were showing up at the hospital and praying, and I was getting worried about you, because I was worried about Ronnie too, it's a lot, and then what made it complicated is that there was all these stupid rules, so your mom couldn't go in there. Nobody could go in there because there's these dumb rules, right?
But what's crazy is that my dad had favor throughout the whole thing. Because if you think about it, anybody who passed away from COVID, they went into the hospital and they never seen him again. My dad was put on the corner by a window.
I remember that.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's trip. Like, I tripped me out. I started thinking about, I was like, man, my dad, all the way through, we got to see him every day, seeing his face right there, praying, talking to him through the window. You go anywhere else, they were putting him on you couldn't even get up there. You had to stay downstairs, right. Like, it was a trip. I remember though, the day that he went in the ventilator, I was standing in the living room at my mom's house, and we were talking, and I was like, I grabbed my chest, and I felt like, why do I feel like I've been here? I feel like I've been here before. Why? And then I thought, this was the draw. This was the draw. Oh my God. I remember I go, oh my God, dude, we need to start praying for strength, for God's decision, because this man doesn't belong to us, and my sister and my mom, they got mad. Because I wasn't saved, and don't you not have the faith? You better not have the faith. He's going to get a full recovery. He's going to get healed. You have to believe, champ. And I just felt like, dang, like, there's something up here, like.
Did you know? Did you sense it?
No, I didn't sense it.
Because it's one thing to sense it, right? Yeah. And it's another thing that, like, you don't want to believe it.
Yeah.
It's a hard thing to really like sense it and realize, like, man, and then you're like, no, I don't want to believe that.
I would say it was more like, oh my God, like, I don't want to kill myself. And so what I did was I put those feelings in the back seat, and I started praying that God would give me the strength for his decision. I prayed and pleaded that God would heal my dad, but I asked for strength more than anything.
Because
he was my best friend.
I always say that's the hardest prayer to pray, right? You're praying for God's will, right? God, let your will be done. nobody likes to pray that prayer because we're afraid of what the real answer is.
My sister said that. She's like, man, champ, you're praying what you should be praying. And I didn't know. I just knew that I know me. I know who I am. And I can be a loose cannon. And the way I was like, I would be at my house sometimes and I wouldn't be kicking with anybody. I'd just have a bag of Coke and some wine and be doing drugs by myself. My dad would call me and say, what are you doing, champ? I'm watching a movie. I'm going to come over. No, I got a girl coming over. All right. And I didn't. I was just doing drugs. And I was scared for my life. I was really scared for my life. So I prayed and I pleaded for God to heal my dad, but I prayed more so for strength for this decision, because we didn't know. We didn't know, and I didn't want to be mad and hate God and end up dead from an overdose.
That's a crazy contrast from a kid that was third grade and hating God for things that happened to a grown man, still not 100% in tune with God, but in a way, yeah, like God's tugging at you to say, yeah, man, I'm praying for his will and not to be angry. I think where you're at in the life you lived, I mean, for me as your cousin, I was like, man, this could be bad. This could send him over the edge. I knew you were already, separated from your wife. I knew it was going to be tough. And when this happened, I was just like, oh my God.
A lot of my friends were like that. A lot of my friends were like, dang, dude, what's gonna happen with Champ? A lot of them. My buddy Ragu was kind of crying, telling me, man, bro, I thought you were going to end up dead. And then when he talked to me, he couldn't believe how he was hearing me talk, But yeah, man, it was just 27 days. I mean, there was times where I just was working and I would be crying, man, and I just couldn't wait to get home and just pray and ask God just to heal him. But I never prayed and asked God into my heart. I was just praying that God would give me the strength. I never didn't surrender.
Still fighting.
Still fighting it. I was still fighting it. Yeah.
I remember we got the call to come. It was probably like 9 o'clock already, 9:30 in the evening. And Melissa looks at me and she goes, hey, we should probably go over there. And I took a deep breath and I was like, okay, let's go. And we pulled up, we parked, and as soon as we parked, I went by that shrub or whatever, those bushes right there, and I just knew. I just heard everybody crying.
Yeah.
And he went home. I remember when my dad died. I remember things going through. Do you remember that day?
Yeah.
Or that evening, or when it happened?
That night. But yeah, what was real crazy about it was 3 days before he passed, I was driving up to my mom, and I was just tired. Over it. And the burden was heavy, bro. Heavy. And, dang, sorry, bro, man.
It's all good.
The burden was heavy, and I remember walking into my mom's house, bro, and I couldn't even stand up straight. I walked in, I turned the corner, and I hit my knees. And I just started to weep hard. And this time, my prayers were, forgive me, God. I repent. Forgive me for not living for you. Forgive me of all my sin. You have my soul. You can take my heart. It's all yours. It's all yours. Everything. I'm out. I don't care about the world anymore. And I was crying. And I had my face on the floor and I just was pouring out crying. My nose was running, And I thought like there were tears and stuff. I just thought tears and boogers, And man, I got up and I was in a puddle of blood. I'm not kidding you. blood on the floor. And my mom and my sister, they were praying for me. They freaked out. My mom was like, "Oh my God!" It looked like I got punched in the nose, and I was just bleeding everywhere on the floor. It was just a puddle. My sister were like praying for me, and they were like, "What?" Started taking my blood pressure, and I was just in a zone, like just something happened, right? And I got up, and I was like, "What the heck was that?" You know? And I went to the restroom. I cleaned my nose off. My sister and them were cleaning the blood. It was a puddle of blood. They were cleaning the blood. And my sister later on told me, my mom, she said she felt something break. Mm. And right there, Dave, right there, I can't explain it, but my mind, everything, the sex, the drugs, the cussing, the thinking it was gone. I mean, to this day, bro, like something happened in my mind. Like I can't explain it.
In an instant.
In an instant, I was delivered completely. 3 days later, my dad was gone. Mm. And that night was just a night I remember going in there. And I didn't even want to go inside. I just seen there was chaos, and I stood from far. And I was just watching everybody, and I didn't want to go anywhere there, you know. And then I seen your mom come out, you know, and I could see Dalla walking towards me. And then I see your mom just yell. And I told Dalla, "Don't you say it. Don't say it. I don't want to hear it." And I just took off running. I ran, and I just let it out, man. Just cried and cried and cried, dude. And no, it wasn't my superhero, dude. It was everything to me, you know?
Yeah.
And that was it. He was gone. And, you know, honestly, I never felt the strength that I was given. I'm serious. Like, I was on a rocket. Like, all those days of praying for strength, he gave it to me, man. I felt this big arm, like, swoop me out of a punch bowl and just threw me. And it was Ronnie, my mom were just blown away at me. I was blown away. It was like I had an encounter with God that I have never had before. God changed my life completely from those 3 days. After those 3 days, as Sunday morning came, I was running late to church, and I was even telling God, "There's nothing that you can do that's going to change my mind. Today, I'm making it official. I'm raising my hand, and I'm going to serve you for the rest of my life. My life is yours." And I was saying that. I was like, there's nothing you could preach, nothing. And I walk in, and my loving pastor, Omar, was preaching on Jesus Christ could be your best friend. He started preaching on Job and everything Job went through. I was like, yeah, this doesn't stop. Like, I mean, it was just to me.
Yeah. That's when you know it's from God. When it feels like, how does the pastor know everything? And he's just telling,
boom. I mean, he was just slapping me all in the, man. I was like, I couldn't wait to raise my hand. I ain't never done that. 40 years I fought God. I ain't never.
I mean, you've probably sat through thousands of altar calls.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
And never.
Literally thousands of altar calls.
Yeah. I ain't never raising my hand.
Yeah. And I couldn't wait to raise my hand. I rose my hand. I went up to that altar, and that was it. You know? And from that point forward, God just started to show me him. You know, he started to show me how much favor my dad was saved to the bone, bro. You know, like, I think now, like, now that I'm saved, I had to clear my phone. You know, when you're saved, your Instagram gets saved. You know, you start getting Bible. You know, like, my whole Instagram, my whole feed changed, man. I'm serious. I was like, dude, my whole feed's different. Even like Bible scriptures, it was insane. Before it'd be like boobs and all this stuff, you know, crazy stuff. It completely, my phone got saved, you know.
You broke the algorithm.
Yeah, it was insane. It was literally insane. Like, just how I was just blown away. Like, God he just showed me. And I remember I was having dreams of my dad. Not dreams. When I was praying, I was having visions of him with white eyes. I see his face was stern. He had these white eyes, and I kept telling my mom, he's gonna make it, Mom. he's going to be blind. Because they were saying that Madrina or Medesivir was jacking people up when they got better. You know, and I was thinking that. I was like, no, he's going to have a full recovery. And God's crazy, man. So the 3 days after he passed, I was reading my Bible. And I was reading Revelations, and John was explaining how the angel had white, fiery eyes. And I was thinking, I seen my dad in heaven.
Wow.
I seen him in heaven. God showed me him in heaven, you know? And then I was like, put my Bible down, and I was just crying. And I thought, like, man, I don't even know what my dad's favorite scriptures were, you know? And opened up my book, went to the back, and my dad wrote right there some of my favorite scriptures. And there's about 30 of them right there.
Wow.
Yeah, bro. And just like, everything was just like little by little how we were treated at the mortuary. I mean, just, and you know, I was saying, like, you know, when you pass away and you're out there, what's on your phone? You know, like, what are they gonna see when they unlock that phone? Right? Like, that's crazy, you know. And that was kind of my fear with my pops, because pastors would struggle with stuff, deep sin, you know, secret sin, you know. And I thought, like, oh my God, there is nothing. I mean, we were in his junk, trash, and his computer. We were opening a box. I'm going to open the box, and there'd be pictures of you and Diana and little Mondo. And it was crazy, dude. Like, my dad was saved to the bone, man. Yeah. This guy, he wanted to go to heaven, you know. There was none of that. And that was such a good feeling, man. Imagine that, you know. And I just thought, like, man, I erased all kinds of stuff from my phone. I don't know my phone, like, dang, dude. Yeah, so I just tripped out. Like, my dad, he was saved to the bone, man, and that was it. You know, God blew my mind. He blew my mind, and now it's crazy because I even though I hated God and everything, and I was the way I was, my dad set a bar on what to be a man of God should take and how you should be a man of God. There's no room for compromise. You're not one of those sipping saints. You know, you ain't a puffing prophet. You know, like, that doesn't fly. You know, my dad was like, that was it. So if my dad didn't do it, I ain't doing it, you know? And I just think, like, man, I thank God, because now, growing up, all I did was in the morning was hear my dad pray and read. Okay, so now I'm like, praying and reading. I ask, you know, people you pray about. Yeah, sometimes, like, I thought that's what we do, you know. Like, I'm up at 3:50, 4 o'clock. I'm praying. I'm reading my word by 5:30. I'm out, like, listening to worship music, you know. And sometimes I put on some at the gym. I'll put on YG came on the other day, and I'm like, F this. I'm like, what the heck? And I don't know. My dad used to say that when I would drop F-bombs all the time, you know, like, like, man, come on, boy, like, what's wrong with you, you know? And I'm thinking like that. I'm thinking like that.
It hits you different.
Heck yeah! When I got on the job site, the week after I got on the job site, I was just like, I still was glowing. I still felt good. And the guys were doing things that they shouldn't be doing. We're not getting paid for, right? And I'm like, what the freak's wrong with you guys? Don't you guys freaking read your emails? What the freak? What's going on? And my foreman was like, he's spitting seeds. He's like, what the F's wrong with you, bro? Why are you talking like that? And I'm like, I don't know, dude. I don't want to be mad right now, man. I'm out of here. And I left. I went back home until the shop. Hey, I'm going to need a couple more days. But I was just like, everything just changed. And the drugs, like, I never knew that I can go without smoking. I thought I could never not smoke pot. It was 24/7. I was high.
I think you told me that one time. I think you told me, I'll never stop smoking weed. It's just going to be a part of me for my whole life.
It would be, in the morning I get up, I take 5 bong tokes, then get ready. Then I'd fire up a joint, smoke that joint all the way to the gym, half the joint. Then I'd get up, finish the joint. Then before the vape pens came out, I had a little fake cigarette, and I'd be packing little bowls and smoking a cigarette and smoking weed. Then I get back in my car, smoke bowls all the way to home. Then I get home, smoke. It was just, I mean, constant. When I got saved, I got a raise. I got a raise. I'm like, what the heck? I got a beer.
Because you weren't buying no beer.
It was like $2,500 a month on drugs.
Crazy.
On drugs, alcohol, wine, everything, pills, Viagra, everything. It's crazy. Man. I couldn't believe that. I was like, damn. It's like, it's $350 every other week for just my weed. That's not talking about the Cokes and Percocets and Norcos. You know, like, it was
everything you get your hands on.
Whatever. whatever. My drug of choice was more. You know, whatever, give me more of it. I want it all. You know, I couldn't get in. I wasn't like the person that could just sit there and drink. You know, drinking was not enough. I needed to get higher and higher and higher and higher. So, but yeah, I've been saved for 7 months, going on 8 months now, and I've been sober ever since. That day when I hit the ground, and I passed on, I was preaching on that, the burden. Have you ever had the burden so heavy you couldn't? Yeah, I have. And I hit the ground, and God blew my mind. And I knew that, you know, God's real. My dad's funeral realized one thing, that heaven's real and so is hell. And big time, you know, and all God's trying to do is just save us from that, you know.
I think at the funeral, when you got up there, man, I think there wasn't a dry eye in the place. And I think there were shades of your dad. You know, here you're on stage with a microphone, and even though you never spoke, like, you know, like in front of a crowd like that, it seemed like it was natural.
Yeah, and
you can just feel like it wasn't a change. Like, you know, people change when somebody dies, right? You know, so my grandma died, and I wanted to do good for a couple months, and you know, you know, like, oh, that's good, man. I think when you got up there and spoke, you just knew, like, it was like you knew it. It was a true touch of God. There was no way that God didn't touch you, and you knew it was for real.
You know what's crazy about it is that that's what I was asking for. I was wondering. I remember in the beginning, I said, "How am I going to exit the world?"
Right.
God said, "I'm going to put you on the freaking altar and you're on the pulpit, and you're going to tell everybody what time it is." That was crazy, and I thought about that now. I'm like, dang, like he put me on blast. Now there's no turning back. Now I can't go back to that lifestyle because my friends are gonna know and think that God's not real, or this was just a fad. God gave me an anchor that I cannot ever take out, you know, and if I ever do, my dad's watching, you know, and now I can't go to my dad for advice. I need to go to God. I can't go to my dad and ask him questions about the Bible. I got to read and study myself. Like, God took that from me because of his grace, you know, his reckless love. Like, Champ will never get saved if his dad's there.
Yeah.
And my dad never wanted to push God on me because he didn't want me to hate him. He didn't want me. So that, to be honest, the love that my dad had for me, in the end result, I would end up in hell. And he would have went to heaven. Because he never wanted to give me the raw truth and tell me. My sister would tell him, man, you got to stop doing that to Champ. You got to stop telling him that. You need to tell him the truth. My dad didn't know how to do it. He didn't want me to hate him. And I would have never hated my dad of that. I would have just been like, man, Dad. He used to always say, I know I'm not the dad you want. Drinking and partying. I'm like, Pop, why would I want that? You know, I wouldn't be alive today, man. I want the dad that you are. You know, we didn't, you know, a lot of my hurt and bitterness was a lot too, because we didn't really go on family vacations. We didn't do those.
Right.
We would go to Disneyland for the gas company thing. Right? Remember?
I was talking to Melissa about that.
Yeah, that's what we would do. That was like our thing. But other than that, it was.
So our trip was, you know, we went to Disneyland like a week ago for my birthday, right?
Yeah.
And so we're over there, and I told Melissa, you know, I was like, you know, we used to come here when I was little. And I go, did you ever come here when you were? She goes, yeah, my dad brought us here once or twice. And I was like, okay. And I go, we only came because my dad, the gas company, would have like a Southern California gas company night, right? And it was like 4 hours. It was like 8 to 1 in the morning, right? And we'd be all excited, trying to get a souvenir. We were all broke, right?
Trying to get those Mickey Mouse hats.
Yeah, they never bought me that. Yeah. There'll be like one souvenir was the big pencil, or that little cheap flashlight,
or the big fly swatter.
Yeah, it was something dumb, or the big sucker that was like a rainbow, right? And so yeah, it was funny, dude. But I you know, it's tough because I was talking to a friend today, and we were talking about how, and I've talked to my mom about this, you know, and how, because we had Carlos here, we had, you know, Billy the Kid, and we've talked about church, and I think a lot of people don't understand of how ingrained church was. But I think in talking to my mom, she realized, and I'm sure you had this conversation with your mom, Like they were like totally sold out for it.
Yeah.
So as down as they were for the neighborhood and the street life, this was like something that was like a chain, like, and they just wanted to be so sold out.
Yeah.
I think in the structure of that, nobody really taught them how to be, mothers and fathers or how to gather. And it wasn't a knock because look at where they came from. Right. They came from, broken homes, no father in the home, all these things that they had running against them. Your dad lived with my mom.
Yeah, my dad when he was 13.
Yeah, 13 years old, living with my mom. She's the guardian, and she was only like 18 years old. It was crazy.
My mom got married when she was 16. So.
So I think in kind of breaking that down, like it's easy to blame them, but as you get older, I think you realize like, look where they came from, and the broken homes and the struggle. And of course they were going to get, this was something that gave them a whole hope, a new life. And they did it. Was there some mistakes there? Yeah. Of course there was. And me and Melissa talk about it all the time. She says the same thing. It was a struggle for them. It was like church first, family second.
Yeah.
And I don't knock them. It was kind of like they were taught that. And they were they just wanted something new in their life. They were so hurt and broken in the life in that world. And so when they gave the life to the Lord, they wanted to be as sold out to that. In the process of that, there was some casualties. There was some mistakes made. I think they realized that. I think, but without them giving their life to the Lord, without them coming to church, dude, our family would be just done, bro.
Yeah,
we didn't have an outlook on life. We didn't have a hope. We didn't have a future. So I kind of look at it both ways. Like, there was, we could have done things better. There could have been some things, but I look at their life before, where they were headed. I look at what God did, and then I look at now what God's done in my family. My Cam and Ash, they're adults now. My kids. They don't know that life. They know that they know it that we came from that. They never experienced none of that. So the generations got better. Yeah. There was mistakes made. Right. And things happened. Right. Do I wish they were different? I do. But there was. I don't hold that against them. Yeah. And I don't hold it against the church. Right. Everybody to each his own, right? But I don't hold that because without a church, and God and people kind of pushing our parents, maybe they needed that. Right. Maybe they needed they needed hardcore, change in their life.
I would use that. Like I would hate how people would treat my dad, and I would be mad at the people in the church. And my dad would always say, don't judge the church. The church is full of people that are trying to serve God. If you're going to church, you're looking for a perfect church, you're never going to find that. And if you're not looking for the right thing, you're supposed to be looking for the Lord, son. Don't worry about anything else. Just think about God. If the pastor is wrong or right, God is the justifier through all of it. So it I'm getting revealed. So I used to always use that, and he would always be like, "Nah, you're looking at it the wrong way."
Yeah. And now that you read your word, every hero that we lift up in the Bible was flawed.
Yeah.
So Samson, he was great, powerful, strong, Samson was flawed, man. He got to that position knocking down those pillars because he messed up a whole bunch of times. Yeah. You look at, Jonah in the whale. Yeah, it's a great story. But why was Jonah in the whale? Because he didn't obey God, man.
That's the thing. What's crazy about it is now that I'm saved, because Pastor Omar was saying this thing's going to blossom huge because it's been watered for 40 years, because I was just like, I feel like an OG in a sense, because I know that serving God and giving my life to the Lord 100%, it's not full of bed and roses. Right. It's harder than that life that I used to live. Yeah. This life is going to be a struggle for the rest of my life.
That's what I wanted to ask you. In Bronx Tale, that famous scene. Yeah. And C is with Sonny, right?
Yeah.
And the dad, Lorenzo, comes with him and brings his son over there. And he throws him back the money, right? And then he grabs C and he pulls him out. And C says, you know, the working man's a sucker. The working man's a sucker. And then he slaps him, right? Yeah. And Lorenzo slaps him and he says, no, man, the working man's a tough guy. Yeah. Do you feel like, kind of like that scene where you're like, the Christian church guy is a sucker and your dad smacks you? No, the Christian guy is the tough guy.
He would tell me, champ, you look around you and there ain't nobody ain't doing nothing different that a 12-year-old ain't doing. 12-year-olds out there drinking and smoking. What are you doing? You're drinking and smoking. There ain't like, you're not real. Being saved, going against the grain, you're as real as possible. You got the most freedom because you're not controlled by the world. You can care less what the world thinks. You can care less what people think. That's one thing that now I'm like, my friends, I love my friends. I hang out with my friends, but I can care less. I don't have to please them anymore. My goal is to please God. My goal is to, any opportunity I can, talk to somebody about the Lord. You know, like it's just so much different. But again, I remind myself that it's not going to be easy. This is going to be hard. It's going to be hard for the rest of my life. But you know, it is what it is.
But the other way was even harder.
Yeah, you know, and I was like I was getting discouraged like about 4 months into this. And I was thinking, dang, man, because, you know, the feeling goes away. This is not a feeling thing. And
that's what I was worried about.
Yeah.
Honestly, like I was like, I'm going to have Champ on. I want him to build that foundation.
Yeah.
He's at a super high right now.
Yeah, for sure.
And I go, it's going to come down like anything else. Anything else in life, right? We start going to the gym, we start working out, we're fired up.
Yeah.
And then, you know.
Yeah, we plateau.
We get to a point where we're like, okay.
Yeah.
And then we get to, even with God, we get to a point and was like, where are you at? Yeah. I ain't feeling you like I was there for a while. And
I just think of I was thinking that and I started thinking about my dad, you, Jesse, and I'm like, calm down, champ. You've been in this for 4 months. This dude's been doing it for 40 years. How long you been saved?
42 years.
42 years. I'm over here talking about 4 months. Oh my God, it's so hard. Like, boy, get your butt in line. You know, I felt like my dad like kicked me in the butt. Like, son, you got a long way to go. You better stop crying now. You know. Yeah. So I ain't like, I know it's hard, but I love this life. I love the peace of mind that I have. I love the fact that I don't need to wake up and get a bong toke. I love the fact that I wake up with worship music in my head. Like, it's insane, man.
What a peace, right?
Yeah, bro. What
it's
like, freedom.
Yeah.
It's people on Instagram talking about, freedom, this, freedom. There is no ultimate freedom like serving God because you ain't got nothing to worry about. The anxiety's gone. That life of, oh my God, about this, the world, the way the world is today. Like, it's like, okay, it has to happen. This has to be this way, you know? So I'm cool. You know, I'll go through it. But again, I know that there's people who've been doing it a lot longer than me. And I just stepped into this. And like I said, God gave me an anchor and I can't go back to my sin knowing that my dad's up there thinking, man, champ, what are you doing? You know, that face. Man, what are you doing?
All right, bro.
You know, so I'm happy, man. I'm really happy. You know,
I'm genuinely happy for you, man. I see the change. It's just it's a miraculous change. I want to ask you, what do your friends say now, man?
My friends, they trip out
because you run with a rough bunch, a very rough bunch, right? So yeah. I'm thinking like. I mean, like, they got to tease you a little bit.
Oh, right? Yeah, I went to that show, and they were my buddy's brothers, good friend of mine. I love him to death. He's like, "Kumbaya, my lord," you know, and I was like, "You moron, dude," you know,
clowning.
Like, yeah, clowning. But they know at the end of the day, like,
they know it's for real.
Yeah, they know that. Dang, dude, this dude, I'm changed. You know, and that was another thing I was worried about. Respect. I ran into another friend at the show, and he was telling me the same thing, like, man, champ, like, I can't believe the respect, you know, like, it takes a real man, you know, and I ain't here like, look at me, I'm just like, hey, I chose this life, you're welcome to it, you want to come to church with me, you know, I was bringing people every week until they started, like, not wanting to answer my phone calls, and like, this fool's just gonna invite me to church, you know, like,
hey, yeah, now you're your dad. trying to bring you to church.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the funny part.
But I pray for my friends every morning, man. There's not a day that goes by that I don't pray for my friends. I love them to death. We've been through so much together, and like my church friends and my street friends, like there's like about 7 of them. You know, I love them to death. We've been through a lot and we've seen a lot. You know, and I always pray for them. I'll kick with them, I'm not saying that I'm strong enough. I don't desire to be in those places, but I like to go to let them know that, hey, I'm changed. You know, like my life is changed. I'm different. You know, I'm not a part of this world anymore. I'm set apart.
You know, our family is my mom, your dad. They used to always talk about the power of the one. You know, the one changed life. Yeah. You know, it goes back for us like. My nana, when she got saved, my mom said it was the power of her changed life. Like we were so crazy, but she was crazy and partying and living a crazy life. But we saw the change. So there is great power in just a changed life where maybe like Pastor Omar told you, maybe you're not the preacher, bullhorn, da-da-da-da-da. Yeah. But the power of a changed life of your friend seeing you like, yeah, he's different now. Yeah. This it had to be God. There's no denying
that's
that.
It. And that's the thing. If I ever chose to go back to that, that's what I'm telling them what God is. There's no way. You know what I'm saying? There's no freaking way. No way. And then not only that, there's no more respect for my dad. Yeah. You know, everything just goes out the window. So like God just did a number on me. Like he hooked me. Like he hooked me and booked me, and now my name's written in the book of life, and I'll take that more than anything, you know. And it's just it's a blessing to be saved. It's a blessing to serve God, and I love it.
So good, man.
Yeah.
I love you, man.
I love you too, Dave. Thanks for having me on here. Appreciate that. You know, I wanted to tell you, when I was growing up, you never let me play with your G.I. Joes.
I didn't. Because you were a bad kid.
Well, I was like, man, I'm going to tell Dave.
This guy.
Let me play with your G.I. Joe. Yeah, I would probably broke them. I remember you would change the legs and, you would take the little screwdriver in the back and then you'd change them out. Yeah.
I have them in the garage. I have them in the garage.
Your little, you had that green
I still
truck.
got it.
You still got the green
I'll show you after.
No way.
I got it in the garage, bro. Yeah, I'll show you.
Where's some money? Snake Eye. I remember Snake Eyes, man. I was like, man, dude.
Yeah, I didn't trust you with my toys, man. You would break them, man.
I was bad.
I think Louis broke one of my, dude. I had this like remote control like Jeep, and it was like top of the line, bro, like a army Jeep, and freaking Louis stepped on it, man, and it just broke the axle. Probably did, man. Louis was just.
I didn't see it.
Yeah, he used to spend the night at the house all the time. But you know what I was thinking about? Real quick. We talk about messing around. I remember. Do you remember it was me, you, and Mark? We were in my Malibu.
Yeah.
And we thought it would be cool to go get eggs. And we went to some girls from the church were having something, and we threw the eggs all over their house. Yeah. We threw the eggs on Mickey's mom's motorcycle or somebody's motorcycle, and we took off. And then Mickey's chasing us in his motorcycle, and for some reason why Mickey hated you, right?
Yeah, he thought I threw it because Mark chucked.
Mark is the one that was throwing them.
Yeah, he threw it. I remember Mickey on his bike chasing us, and he went out, and Mark threw a good shot, and it went, and it hit him right in the back of the pipes in his leg. That fool turned around, and you were driving fast, and all he could see was me. And the window and him bike, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna get you, Tony." It
was you.
Yeah.
It was you.
We got pulled over that night.
Yeah,
that's when you get somebody did a big old piece. Mark tagged my name on my head with Sharpie, like a tattoo.
Yeah, because Mickey called the cops.
So that's why we got pulled over.
Yeah, then the next day
it was a beach party.
It was something. Yeah, it was something at church. But I ran. Mickey came to my house and told my dad, and then my dad was like, "It's on you." It's on you. And I was just like, and then Mickey was like, Mickey goes, you threw it. Who threw it? And I go, it wasn't me. I was driving.
Yeah.
I can't throw and drive on that side. I was on this side.
Yeah, it was a good throw.
It was
a good throw.
I think that was the best throw Mark ever had.
Yeah.
It was straight. I think it was straight luck.
Yeah.
But it hit his motorcycle. And he was
hanging out the windows too when he hit it. What kind of car was that?
67 Chevy Malibu.
Malibu, yeah. And Mark had the same one, no? Or he had one like that too, right? There was two of them.
No, that was Lawrence. Lawrence had one. It was like gold. It was like
gold
copper,
with
like
the black top,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
So yeah, I had the blue one. I got that from my grandpa. Yeah. But thanks for coming, dude.
Thank you for having me, man.
I love you. I'm really proud of you, man.
Thank you.
Keep it up. We're here for you, and you need anything, man. But what a great testimony.
Thank you.
Hey, check it out. So me and Cam do one last thing, man, and it's called the Furious 5, bro. And what we do is we give you like 5 questions.
All right.
And pretty fun. Play a little music in the background, and get you hyped here. You know what I mean? So, Street Gospel Furious 5. Question number 1. What is your favorite day of the week? I think I heard you say that.
Thursday.
Mine too.
Yeah.
So when you said that, I was going to elaborate because I was like, that's one of my questions.
Yeah.
Thursday is my favorite day. Yeah. I don't know what it is. Ever since I was a kid, it was like Thursday. And everybody's like, why is Thursday? I go, because I'm like already looking to the weekend. Yeah. Friday's a given. Yeah. Right? But Thursday.
It's the hype.
Yeah. Wednesday's hump day. Yeah. You get to Thursday and you're like, tomorrow's Friday and it's on.
Boom. I don't care about Thursday because tomorrow's Friday.
Yeah. I always been like that. And I used to tell pastors, don't have church on Wednesday because Wednesdays suck. Yeah. But if you have church on Thursday,
it's cracking.
People are cool. If I wake up a little tired on Friday, I already know it's the weekend. Yeah. I'm cool. I can get through today.
Yeah. Thursday.
All right, we're on the same page with that one. Question number 2 on the Street Gospel Furious 5. One person you would love to be in the mosh pit with. And I loved it because you were talking about it earlier, but I had this already down. But one person you would like to be in the mosh pit with.
With
anybody.
Oh, my buddy Charlie.
All day?
Oh, we're always. We usually go against the mosh pit, to start.
Oh, opposite way?
Opposite way, yeah. One time, quick story, we were at the Wilshire singing Tiger Army, right? And I was in the pit, I had a big mohawk. And dude, the pit just stopped because this great big guy went in the pit, right? And he grabs this dude and he's about to just rip him apart. And I'm like, I know that freaking dude. I know him. And I go, oh my God. And I ran as fast as I can and I jumped and threw my whole shoulder in him, right? That dude throws that guy down, grabs me by the neck, and is about to pop my head off. And I'm like, Matthew Palmer! Matthew Palmer, it's me, Tony Calvary! And he was like, Tony? And I was like, yeah, man. And he took me backstage. I got to meet Bad Religion. It was awesome, dude.
Man. So for everybody out there, Matthew Palmer was a kid we grew up with. He's way younger than both of us. Yeah. But the dude is huge. Monster. And yeah, he ended up being like a bouncer. Yeah.
Polar.
Monster dude. I think the first time I got in a real mosh pit was at the Roxy. And we went to go see somebody play, and somebody pushed me in. And I was scared, dude. I think Vince was with me, and Vince was like, I ain't going nowhere near that pit. He was all the way in the back. And I thought Vince was down to always fight. Yeah. But he was like, nah, I'm not going nowhere. Yeah. And I got in, got a little beat up, and then I was like, hey, that was fun. Yeah. Like, that was cool. So.
As long as you don't get mad. I don't like guys that get in the mosh pit and then try to fight because you're in the pit. What are you doing? You don't want to be, you don't want to get hit. Don't go in the pit.
I haven't been in the mosh pit since 2011. Battle of Los Angeles.
Oh, I was there. Yeah, that was a good show.
I was on the left side, and we were moshing, but on the right side of the stage, I had that walkway in the middle. Man, Dana White and all them were on that side. I was like, man, I wish we were over there. That would have been dope.
I was in the pit last Saturday.
Oh man! All right, question number 3 on the Furious 5 here. Your first tattoo?
Oh, it was a barcode on the back of my neck.
Barcode.
I was 18 years old. My mom and dad were pissed.
Let me guess. Why'd you get the mark of the beast on the back of your head?
I got it for that. And it's actually an ex-girlfriend's name with numbers,
Wow.
On the phone. Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Wow, all right. Question number 4. If you can go back and change one decision in your life, what would it be?
Dang. Probably got saved sooner. I would have got to, be saved with my dad.
Nice.
I didn't get to experience. My dad would get love when he would go preach. He would, I never got to. He would always invite me, but I never would go. I always chose my friends. So
kind of be right there with him.
Yeah, man. Just to see that. I never did that. I wish I would have, man. So that right there, probably.
Nice. Yeah. That's a good one, man. Last one. Where do you want to be in 5 years? If you can pick some dream scenario, what would it be? Not even a dream scenario, but just doing good.
I guess maybe having my own electrical company.
Nice.
Running my own stuff. Not working for the man, working for myself.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
I can see you doing it.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Hey, cuz, I appreciate you coming out, man.
Thank you.
Definitely was fun.
Yeah.
Little tearjerker for me, man.
Yeah.
But I knew I was gonna go there, so I was prepared. Appreciate you. Love you, man.
All right, love you too, cousin.
Chapter 7.
Let it conclude this episode of the Street Gospel Podcast. Make sure you subscribe to our channel on YouTube, Street Gospel TV. Go to any podcast platform, look up Street Gospel Podcast, and hit that subscribe button. Appreciate you guys out there. Catch you next time.
Know ye that ye are all the house of Israel. Know ye that ye must come unto repentance